You're listening to the Wealthy Lawyer Squad podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Klein, and the founder of the Wealthy Lawyer Squad, a community specifically curated for law students and lawyers who are ready for more success, wealth, personal growth and wellness, and ease in their legal career. With the tools and strategies I teach in the squad and that I've implemented in my own career successfully, I want you to get ready to approach your legal career in a whole new way and live a life you never imagined. I'm a former big law attorney, entrepreneur, law firm owner, and success coach for law students and new lawyers, and I am here to support and inspire you on your journey in the law every step of the way. Let's go, squad. Welcome back to the Wealthy Lawyer Squad podcast. I am incredibly honored and excited to be sitting down and chatting today with Lisa Chastain. I'm going to give a little bit of a background, but then we're going to dive in because you want to hear Lisa's story. You want to hear all about her. She has so much going on. She's such a badass, and I'm so excited that we were connected. So a little bit about Lisa. Lisa is a renowned expert in personal finance, which is obviously our favorite topic on this show, and is dedicated to empowering passionate and successful women to overcome the shame and guilt surrounding their finances. Lisa, you've built your entire career supporting individuals to rewire their money mindset, which is my favorite thing to talk about and to implement in my own life and in the squad, and adopt a strategic framework to focus on healthy spending rather than restrictive budgeting. I know you have your incredible stop budgeting system that listeners can learn more about. We'll link everything in the show notes. But what I really want to talk about today is not only the book that you've already written, best-selling author, everybody, and we're currently reading Girl, Get Your Shit Together, and it's so good for the Money and Mindset book club within the squad, and I'm loving it. I can't wait to talk about it with everyone. Not only do you have this book, you also have a new book coming out, Stop Budgeting, that will be out in early 2025. So really excited to talk about that. You're also the host of the Real Money podcast, and you've been featured on CNBC, NBC News, MSN Money, the Oprah Magazine, Fortune, Entrepreneur, just to name a few. So Lisa, welcome to the show.
I'm so grateful to be here. I'm so grateful to be in your world also. It was kismet that we were connected, and I'm really excited for today's conversation.
Me too. And thank you. And this is the first episode of 2025. Woohoo! 2025. I can't believe we made it. Oh my gosh. And I'm so excited to attend the Wealth Summit with you this year. Thank you for your kind invitation. This is really going to be the year of wealth. And we were chatting before we started recording. For years, I think as women, we've been talking about wealth for many, many years now. It's really time to really up our game and make it happen and build that wealth. So, Lisa, I'd love to hear not only about the new book, I want to talk about that, but your personal journey, what kind of where you started from where you are today. It's such a really incredible story. So I'd love to hear more about it.
All right. So we're just going to lean into money mindset. Starting with money mindset, I was born in a blue collared family in Las Vegas. And for those of you that are listening, if you don't know a lot about Las Vegas, especially back in the 70s and 80s and before then, we're a dirt road country kind of town. We've hosted the NFR for like 30 years consecutively almost. So we're a cowboy kind of Western kind of town. And so is the state of Nevada. So that's where I grew up. I didn't grow up in the glamour of the Strip. My dad's a stagehand. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. When I was born, my parents didn't know they were having twins.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
They knew they were having a healthy baby boy. They were really praying for a healthy baby boy. My brother was born, and then 4 minutes later, I was born, and I surprised the hell out of him.
I'd say. I cannot imagine.
That's my origin story. I mean, there wasn't enough anyway. I have an older sister. My brother was born, and all of a sudden, hearing the stories from my childhood, there was just never enough. And that's my money origin story. That's my money set point. And so as a young woman in the 80s up until today, I've had to really work on my money mindset and my own identity to be where I am today in my career. So when I wrote my first book in 2017, I was in the fight of my life to define what wealth looked like and felt like for me coming through divorce. I've personally worked on my own money mindset, and I'm championing women to do the same, no matter where you come from, because we all have a set point. We all have limiting beliefs. And now is the time, to your point. This is the century. This is the decade for women to reposition themselves no matter where they come from. And that's the conversation I'm having now internationally.
I love it. I love it. And that is literally everything that I stand for and that we stand for here, which is why, I was so excited to have you on the show. So tell us, I know that you've been in the financial industry for many years, even before you became a financial coach. Tell us about kind of how that all transpired.
So I was a stay-at-home mom for a few years after my first career. I left UNLV in 2011 as the director advising for the Honors College at UNLV. I was working with the best and brightest, recruiting them, supporting them, helping them graduate. Many of them are friends of mine today. And that was
Mm,
my first career, was helping the best and brightest kids who had scholarships to Stanford and Harvard were choosing to come to the UNLV Honors College. I learned so much in that career. When I left in 2011, I did, knowing what I know now, what a lot of women do. And I left my career because I believed at that time my husband was the one that had the earning potential.
mm, mm-hmm.
And my mom was a stay at home mom. So I felt like it was the right thing to do. You have little kids. My son at the time was 3. And I gave up on myself. I didn't
Yeah.
know that at the time. I didn't know that that's what I was doing at the time, but I felt like I had met the best of myself and I needed to do this for my kid.
Mm,
3 years into being a stay-at-home mom, I was depressed. I was drinking too much. I didn't know who I was anymore. I was lost in my marriage. I was looking to Oprah, who still had a show, daytime TV. Like so many women in America were looking for other people to be like, what is my life right now?
yeah. Yeah.
And I found my way into financial advising for a lot of reasons. I made an intentional decision to do it. I'm so glad that I did because I knew nothing about money. My parents didn't talk about it. I mean, I kind of knew how to budget, but hated it. I ran the household finances. That was the extent that I knew about money. I knew how to charge a credit card up and pay it off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, financial advising was a gift for me because it taught me about the real world of money, the big world of money. And I
Yeah.
wasn't destined to be a financial advisor. I'm destined to be a coach for sure.
Yeah. I think I was a finance major and actually interning at Merrill Lynch in 2008,
Okay.
2009.
Holy
So,
shit.
when they basically said, "Well, you might want to do something else for a little bit," and my law partner was also on a financial advisory team, and I think the information that you learn and like the peek into what really is happening in the financial industry can be absolutely invaluable, truly.
Life changing. I
Yeah.
felt like I was learning a totally new language. It was
Oh
so
yeah.
foreign to me. I was so outside of my comfort zone. I had never thought about business. I had never thought about economics. I had never thought about finance. And so taking my Series 65 was insanely valuable and educational. Like, oh, this is how money really works.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What would you say? I mean, I know there's so many differences. What would you say the biggest difference or differences between a financial advisor and a financial coach are? And when does someone need both?
Well, I'll say with so much confidence that financial advisors are not coaches, just
Yeah.
not.
No.
Financial advisors are trained to sell financial products and or give investment advice and help you build an investment portfolio that's going to get you the returns that you want to get. That is the training that financial advisors get. Now, if someone goes through the CFP, there's a little bit more that goes behind their certifications in terms of planning and life design and protection, so insurance and a bigger picture of someone's financial life. Being a coach, being a certified trainer in neurolinguistic programming, my training is in helping dig into someone's unconscious mind to discover limiting beliefs, release negative emotions, rewrite, reframe stories and narratives. It's way more emotional. And so financial advisors refer clients to me because they know that that's not the training that they have. That's not the information that they have available to them.
Yeah. I am the absolute biggest fan of coaching in every industry, and
And
it's becoming more and more prevalent even with a lot of divorce attorneys, family law attorneys that I work with. Some of them are becoming divorce coaches because
mm,
they're recognizing that whether it's in the financial industry or the legal industry, there's a role you play as the advisor or as the attorney, but there's so much that you don't tap into when you're just playing that role. You don't tap into, like you said, the limiting beliefs and kind of the unconscious programming. And without doing that piece of the homework, whether it's building wealth, going through a divorce, or some other major life event, if you ignore that piece, you're really ignoring everything in my opinion.
yeah,
Truly.
the numbers are just numbers. The law is just the law.
Yep.
How it applies to our individual lives is the magic.
Yeah. It's so true. It's
Hmm.
so true. And I love that advisors are referring clients to you. And I'm not surprised, one, because you're just awesome, but two, because it makes sense, right? It does make sense. That's not the role that the advisor is playing. And to have that team, I suspect is very magical. I would
It is.
imagine. Even in what we do with our estate planning practice, we see, I mean, I think I pick up on this stuff a lot more than maybe others, but I see the clients, their money mindset showing as we're talking about
Mhm.
their assets and their estate plan. And it's it's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
So how did you make the transition from advisor to financial coach, and what do you think, having the experience of both, like what extra magic do you think that brings to the table?
Well, the short answer of how I made the transition was crash and burn.
Mm,
So the financial world is very sink or swim. And for
yeah.
women, only 22% of financial advisors today still are
Wow.
financial advisors are women. So I, one, had met my money mindset and my limitations of my own money mindset as a financial advisor, my own limiting beliefs about what I was able to earn or not able to earn.
Mm,
I jumped into a business relationship with a best friend, which I do not advise. I learned a lot of tough lessons. And
yeah.
I did what most entrepreneurs do. I jumped in head first. So there
Yeah.
was a whole lot that I didn't know that I didn't know. And I'm so grateful for that. But it came to a crossroads where I was pulling money out of my 401k to build
Mm,
my business. And I was negative to support all of my licensing, all of my advisory firms' fees. I
oh wow.
wasn't making a lot of money. What a lot of people don't know about the financial world is if you're not surrounded by money, it's really hard to make money.
Yeah.
And I knew a lot of broke people. I knew a lot of broke people. My family was not going to have that conversation with me. I was not going to be able to go talk to my aunts and uncles and my parents about managing their wealth. And I was
Yeah.
stuck.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I was stuck and I had to look at other options. I was so unhappy. And so I met a coach. Her name's Robin Crane. She was coaching financial professionals, and I hired her and made the leap. I didn't know. And really, when I wrote my book in 2017, financial coaching wasn't much of anything.
Yeah.
So I feel like I've helped birth this new profession of financial coaches, and I'm thankful for that. So that's where it started. I was running out of money. I had to figure it out. And coaching, I started making money really fast as a coach, and that's when I knew I was onto something.
Yeah. Yeah. When you discover that superpower, there's no other feeling like it. You start to feel so aligned, and when you figure out that, hey, this is what I'm meant to do for the world, and it just takes off,
Yeah.
it's awesome. And
Yep.
I love that because I mean, I feel like even now, especially in the law, coaching is still kind of an unknown. I feel like in other industries like real estate or other areas, it's a little bit more prevalent, but that's so amazing that you've kind of seen this specific niche of coaching
Mhm.
grow and that you've been such a huge part of that, because I am a huge fan of any coaching, like I said, but especially financial coaching, because I've seen I've talked about this in other episodes, but I got to the top of one of the biggest law firms in the country, and I saw how there was a scarcity mindset among all these high earning partners, and I just thought, "Oh my gosh, what is happening?" Because I also did not grow up around money. I'm the first lawyer in my family, one of the first to graduate from college, and I just thought, "Wait a minute, I thought if I got here, this would be like solve all the problems, make all the money," and it was a very eye-opening experience to see that it doesn't really matter how much money you're making if you don't feel wealthy and if you're not, you know, I don't know, making the right decisions with your money.
It's such a great point. It's such a great point because I work with really successful people. It's not just broke people or broke mindseted people that need coaches. I have clients that come to me with millions and millions of dollars who also feel broke. Such a great point. It's such a great point. It doesn't matter how much money you're making, it doesn't matter how much money you have. Anybody can feel that way, and a lot of people do.
Yeah. You had a really, really great reel on Instagram. There were so many, but you were talking about how when you have, high earning clients, it's all about the emotion and that's what you're working on with them. Can you kind of walk me through, because I see this a lot in the law, where people make a lot of money but they either spend it all or they don't focus on building true wealth. And I think, and I know in many cases it is those emotions and those things that they haven't resolved. What's kind of like the main, I don't know, issue or challenge that you see when a client comes in high earning, doesn't feel wealthy? Like, what do you think that really is?
Oh gosh, it could be a number of things. The what it all boils down to is someone's inner dialogue. And really where it starts, and most people can't pinpoint this until we have this conversation, it's those imprinting years 0 to 7. They are so profoundly important.
Yeah.
And if we don't take a look back at our lives, 0 to 7 is where we learn how to be human beings. And we run patterns from that young of an age. We modeled ourselves after the people that taught us how to be human. And
Yeah.
so if our dad had a gambling addiction or our mom had a shopping problem, or if no one talked about money, it was never installed into you. And that's the most common challenge that my clients have, is that no one talked about money. So we're left to our own devices to figure it out. And if there wasn't enough, and to be honest with you, I grew up in a blue collar, middle class family. There was enough,
Yeah.
but it was my own interpretation of it with nowhere to have a conversation. That was my downfall.
Yeah.
I had Tony Robbins, former CFO, on my podcast, and he said, Lisa, at one point I was making millions of dollars. He said my discretionary budget, he also worked for Kevin Harrington. He said my discretionary
Mm.
budget was $500,000 a year.
Wow.
And I was blowing it left and right. And it all went back to 0 to 7.
Mm. Isn't it? It is so crazy to when you really start to think about it. It's not necessarily what you're earning, although it's always great to, continue to raise and increase how much you're earning. But if you spend it all or you make decisions that are not aligned with where you want to go, it's just wild to me how often, that happens. And when you don't focus on it, it can happen without you even realizing it. And
Most people don't even know what to focus on because we've been
yeah.
told, hey, you have to budget. Hey, you have to do certain things. So 95% of our purchasing decisions are in the unconscious.
Wow. 95%.
95%, which means that money can't not be emotional, especially if we're talking about your money. Money can't not be emotional because there's so
Yeah.
much that's going on unconsciously,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
why it's, I think, a good idea to have someone else manage your money, someone who's trusted and someone who's vetted, but someone else can manage your money and have no emotional attachment to it.
Yeah.
You can't do that. No one can do it.
Yeah. No, it's so true. So you said that, people don't really seem to know what to focus on. What do you think when you work with someone? Let's continue with the example of someone who comes in high earner, but for one reason or another, they aren't their net worth isn't increasing or they don't
Mhm.
feel wealthy. Like what are the main things that you kind of focus on with that type of client?
The very first thing that we look at is exactly that conversation. What was life like before the age of 7? What are your parents up to? What was your relationship like with them? Where did all of this start
Yeah.
for you?
Yeah.
Um, I just had a client that I met with who grew up around a lot of money in New York. And then when she was a teenager, her dad lost everything. So, two very different experiences, and her brain
Yeah.
couldn't make sense of it.
Yeah.
So, how do you go from having everything to nothing? And there's
Yeah.
something in neurolinguistic programming that we call away from motivation. People are either toward motivated or away from motivated. And I'm listening with my clients to understand where they're coming from. And so many people are away from motivated financially, which means that their motivation is to get away from a situation. But the problem,
Interesting.
so people are trying to get away from being broke or away from financial catastrophe or away from debt. The problem with that is if they're getting trying to get away from a certain experience, they can only get so far away from it before they snap themselves back into the experience of it because that's what's causing the motivation. So
Wow.
I'm working with clients to understand what's motivating them to make decisions because what they say they want a lot of times is incongruent with how they feel. And I know this is deep,
Mm.
but this is the work.
Yeah.
And that's how
Yeah.
people sabotage themselves because they say they want to get out of debt, but then they have some incongruency energetically or in their mindset that keeps them stuck, keeps them where they're at.
Yeah. Wow, I've never thought about it that way, the away from versus the towards. So if you have a client who's coming in and they say, I want to get out of debt. I either credit card debt or law school debt or whatever it might be, but their mindset is away from. How do you then shift that in a was it a towards
To toward motivated,
toward motivated?
it's a lot of work. Well, it doesn't have to be a lot of work, but it does take time for someone
Yeah.
to get radically honest with
Yeah.
themselves. And the work of
Mm,
NLP, if you think about it as a CD, we have the ability in the work that what I do with my clients is to help them stop accessing the memory and to
mm,
heal the memory, heal the experience, reframe it so they don't operate from that place anymore.
yeah. Oh,
But you
that's
got to
so
be
good.
willing to go there.
It's so good. That's why I love this stuff. Once you know, you know. Like once you
Yeah,
dive into this, you can't not that I would want to, but you can't ever go back because you start to see everything through that lens and really how can I dig back into my past and see how that's affecting me today? And it is fascinating,
it's
I mean,
fascinating.
and I've been doing this work for a while and I'll still if I'm, you know, doing journaling or, meeting with a coach or a therapist, I'll have these aha moments where I'll remember something from childhood that
Yep.
is, impacting me now, especially as I went from big law to starting a law firm. That brought a whole new host
Yeah.
of money mindset stuff that was, coming up, going from big salary to starting kind of not from the beginning, but in many ways. And there were
Hmm.
so many moments in the past 2 years where I'm like, "Oh my god, that's why I think like that," or "That's
Yeah.
why I feel like that." And it's life-changing. It really
It's
is.
life-changing. I had a
It really
client,
is.
I had a client to that point who had no idea that to the year she was modeling her parents' life.
Wow.
And she couldn't
Wow.
figure out why she kept repeating these cycles. I said, because if we look at it, mom and dad side by side, you're living their life unconsciously and you had no idea you were doing it.
Whoa. I just got chills. That is crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
And no idea.
No idea.
I mean, because how often we're on autopilot. We're living our lives. We're busy. We have jobs, businesses, kids, friends. All the things. How
Hmm.
often are we actually dialing in to what's really going on?
Well,
you
that's the
know?
work. That's
That's the work.
all
That's the
forward
work.
to say it's time for us to wake up as women.
Yeah.
It's time for us to start owning this conversation totally and completely.
Yeah. I love it. I want to talk really quick about your money personality quiz. So I took the quiz,
Okay.
which was super fun. And I was a dreamer, the
Shocker.
delusional Delilah. I love it. Which I saw you are too. I was watching. I'm like, I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it. Tell us about, that money type, because,
Okay.
obviously we're both biased to that one. But what are the other money types? And I want everyone to go take the quiz because it was super insightful. But what are they, and how can people kind of use that tool?
Okay. So the quiz came from Robin Crane, who was my first coach, who taught me about the world of money coaching altogether. And the five are the dreamer, the saver, the spender, the avoider, and the giver. Okay. And we have fun names for them, which a lot of the dreamer, when we say it's delusional Delilah, they're like, oh, but could there be a better name? I'm like, no, because that's what it is. You have to be delusional, especially to come from humble beginnings like us. There
Yeah.
needs to be a little bit of crazy for us to believe that we're going to be capable of having the success that we want.
Yep. A little bit, a lot of bit.
Yeah. I, when my parents found out that I was going to write my book and start this entrepreneurial journey, they thought I was crazy. They thought I had lost my mind because we don't do that in my family.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's the dreamer, which speaks for itself. The giver is someone who's over generous. So there are problems in each one of these money types. There's not one money type that's better than the other.
Yeah.
And that, if you look at the finance industry, people that gravitate toward the finance industry are primarily saver money personalities. And there's a big disconnect there because people are basically getting the message that if you're not a saver, you're a fuck up.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not true. That's not
Yeah.
true. Spenders are great in business.
Yeah.
Spenders have very abundant mindsets. We need people like that.
Yeah.
Givers are our nonprofit leaders and people who wake up in service to others. We need people like that on our planet.
Yeah.
And so the question for anyone is take the test and ask the question, are you operating out of someone else's money mindset? My parents are savers and I was trapped in their mindset
Yeah. Same.
versus is this who I really am?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm nodding because that was exactly my path too. To a T.
Grew up with savers and you took a safe path being an attorney. We what first generation when I advised kids at UNLV and they came from first generation families, they had three choices as careers: doctor, lawyer, or accountant.
Yep. You want to
That
know
was
something
it.
funny though? My parents did not want me to go to law school.
They didn't.
They did not. They because they were such savers, they were like, you're going to give up 3 years of earning potential. We think you should just go out and immediately get a job.
Get a job.
Get a job.
Right.
Yeah. And I
That's all
said, no,
mine.
thank you.
Good for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. But it was, when the two parental roles in your life are telling you not to do something that is already scary and expensive, it's not for the faint of heart.
My
It
parents
is
threatened
not.
to disown me
Really?
multiple times in my life. And what woman can relate to that? If you don't
Yeah.
follow our path, if you don't live
Yeah.
life the way you want us to, you're out.
Yeah. Follow the rules. Be a good girl.
Be a good girl.
Yeah. Wow.
Marry who we want you to marry, right? Do the
Yeah.
things that will honor our family. And I know that there's women on this planet today whose lives are in jeopardy if they go against that.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm. It's a wild world sometimes. It
Yeah,
really is.
it
It
is.
really
Which is
is.
why you and I get to take this stand and have this conversation for women all over the planet today.
Yeah. It's truly an honor. It really is. It really really is. And I love, the conversation in the first book, and I'd love to hear more about your second book, Stop Budgeting. Tell us what we can expect, because the first one is really really good.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So I wrote Girl Get Your Shit Together for myself, to be honest. A lot of authors do that. I needed that book. I needed to write what I needed to write. And
Yeah.
I'm so grateful it's helped thousands and thousands of women just touch on the tip of the iceberg, because that's really all Girl Get Your Shit Together does. It's the tip of the iceberg. It awakens things, it gives you places to point. As my
Yeah.
experience of an advisor, overall life coach and advisor,
Yeah.
pointing women in certain places to look of like, okay, if you want to improve your relationship with money, let's start here. Couples read the book together. It's a good conversation starter. Stop Budgeting, Start Living is a much deeper dive. It's a much more serious conversation, and it's designed to be very interruptive to the finance industry. That budgets are bullshit.
Love it.
Budgets are another construct of control for women. We need to
Mm,
bust it wide open and say, if
wow.
it's not budgeting, what is it for me that's going to get my life moving so that I can make the changes in my life and in the world that I'm born to be, that I'm born to do?
Oh my gosh, I'm excited. I'm
Yeah.
excited to read it.
Yeah.
That is incredible. I think we're gonna have to have a part two in the money and mindset book club so we can have, both parts and the evolution. It's always so fun to see the evolution of all of us and where we're going. And wow, I'm so excited for that. I'm so excited for the Wealth Summit, and I'm so appreciative that you've invited Kristen and I. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that because I can't wait
Yeah.
to
So
go.
that's International Women's Week. International Women's Day. I don't know what day of the, I think it might be on that Saturday, which is March 8th. I'm flying from Vegas. You're flying from Florida into Dallas, Texas for the Women's Wealth Symposium. Linda Fisk is a dynamite woman. Women's Wealth Symposium is run through her nonprofit. She runs a global organization called Leadership Global. So we're very much aligned in propelling women forward financially. So it's a full day with powerhouse speakers. It's a room of 500 women coming together to talk about how we can advance ourselves and each other financially. I'm
Oh
leading a
yeah.
fireside chat with a woman who, Stanford graduate. Her name's Mandy Price. She sold her company. We're going to talk about how we can break through barriers in corporate America because it still needs to happen. And
Totally.
I have other women that are joining us from different places on the planet. One of my friends, Angie Morgan's going to come with us. She's a New York Times bestselling author. So this is the room to be in when it comes to having conversations about advancing women financially.
Well, so excited that you reached out your hand and brought us into that room. And I
Yeah.
cannot wait. And I can't believe March will probably be here in the blink of an eye, which is just crazy to think about.
Yeah.
So excited for that and so excited for International Women's Month. It's going to be that's going to be that week in particular. I'm speaking at a local event here and then I'll hop on the plane and go there. It's going to be just on fire.
Perfect.
I cannot wait. I
Yeah,
cannot
I'm
wait.
excited.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Before we wrap this up, I want everyone to be able to find out more about you, know where to connect. We'll put everything in the show notes. Where can they buy your book? Where can they take the money quiz? All the things.
Okay, great. So first go to lisachastain.com. The quiz link, it says start here. Click on start here. It'll take you to the quiz. Once you're in my ecosystem, it'll sign you up for my newsletter. You'll start to get to know me. The other place is on YouTube. If you're looking for how to's and you want to get to a vibe for how I teach finance, because I'm not just a mindset coach, I teach how to stop budgeting, how to master your cash flow, how to get out of debt. All those fundamentals are there. I have my podcast, Real Money, that's on YouTube and all the major podcast outlets. My new book is for pre-sale right now. So you can go to Amazon, Barnes and Noble. Please join me in buying the pre-sale of the book, sell it, and sharing that out with everybody. It'll get mailed to you automatically wherever you buy it from in June. And you can get your shit together right now on Amazon.
Oh my gosh, amazing. I am so grateful that we were connected and so grateful for your time and your insight. This has been just the most incredible episode. I'm all fired up. I'm fired up for 2025. I'm fired up for women in wealth, all the things. So thank you for joining the show and can't wait to keep the chat going, Lisa.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks for having me. Thank you for the work that you're doing. And I'll see you in March.
Sounds good. Thanks everyone for listening. Tune in next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.